They're anti-love. Of course they're going to be freaks. Of course they're weird and stilted. Of course basically every Republican politician looks like some up monstrosity and they can't carry with their charisma. That's why they like Donald Trump so much, because Donald Trump has two things they don't have going for him. For one, show presence. Man ran a reality TV show. I'm saying he knows how to work a camera. That is true. And two, there is an element of humanity within Donald Trump that does not exist in many of his compatriots. And it comes from the fact that he wasn't raised in this political environment. It comes from the fact that he's, for the most part, a classic 1980s New York businessman who's concerned with doing coke, pedophilia, and cheating on his wives. Now, those things are pretty monstrous, but there's a kind of I don't know what you would call it, a kind of like callous disregard for humanity there, a sort of anti-villain person, or sorry, anti-hero, like roguish tendency to it. I'm not defending it. They're monstrous people, but it's different from this modern kind of Republican. You know what I mean? It's very different. There's a reason Donald Trump can rizz up a crowd and basically no one else in the right can. You know, it's a different kind of antisociality, and it's unique to him. It's not common anymore. It's unique to him. He has fun up there. That's also important. No one else has fun up there. He has fun up there. And for these reasons, he is the flag bearer of the Republican Party. When he's out, they're out. No one else can carry the torch. Ron DeSantis was an experiment by certain people within the GOP to determine whether or not they could summon a comparable energy from a puppet. Donald Trump is not a puppet. He's very difficult to control. Every bit of evidence we have from his 2016 administration indicates that. He's actually, not to say he's like, you know, breaking the will of the GOP. He just kind of does what he wants. He's not bright enough. He's not enough of a strategist. He doesn't think forward enough. He's obstinate. He's stubborn. He's disagreeable. He gets angry easily. He's very emotional. He's not easy to control. They want a puppet. So they tried Ron DeSantis, who is very easy to control, shockingly easy to control. And what happened? He's a laughingstock, and he bent the knee. Everyone bent the knee. Nikki Haley, I think, is the closest they have to any like reasonable pathway out. But Nikki Haley will never summon the voters that Donald Trump has, largely because Nikki Haley isn't hateful in the ways she would need to be. Also, she's a woman, and they don't like women. They don't even love their race, even though they're racists. There are no white supremacists who love white people. They only hate non-white people. White supremacists do not spend their time idolizing or celebrating white heritage. If you go take a look at people who celebrate black heritage, you can take a look. There's like a million cultures and the little variations and the stuff they're proud of and they care about. Or the individual white cultures. Irish people, sure. Scottish people, sure. French people, sure. Go out to Eastern Europe, you know, go further and further. Go to the old Christian country, you know, go to Armenia, right? There's lots of really interesting, like, not that I think most people would immediately think of Armenians as white, but whatever you want to call it, you know, race is arbitrary. You can see a million little cultural variances. You can respect it. You can pay homage to it. You can reference it. What do white supremacists actually care about? Take a look at the historical art they post. They go back to Rome, which... the direct continuity between modern white Western society and Rome then is horseshit. There were black Roman emperors. It was an empire. And the average Roman back then would have been way the too swarthy. What you now think of as a white person, they were blowing spit bubbles under swamp water in what would later become the Isle of Britain. Okay? Like, that's what they were up to at the time. All right? If we went back in time and we took a look at what the Romans were like from our modern eyes, they would look like gay Mexicans from southern Italy. Okay? They would be, folks, it would be really gay and it'd be really Mexican. All right? You take a look at how they painted their statues, we would not like it. They like the myth of Rome, where it's all white people in white marble, all clean and austere. Definitely real, by the way. And they like the Crusades. Even though if you actually look at the history of the Crusades were like a lot of white-on-white infighting and a lot of just sweaty, disgusting, shit-streaked pants wearing Christian peasants dying in the middle of nowhere for no reason. You know, the sacking of Constantinople, the betrayal of the Eastern Orthodox Church, like a lot of wild shit. None of this really helped white people in any meaningful way. They just like it because they see it as a signal of white power over others. They see it because they hate Non-white people. I saw recently, apparently there was a white woman who did well in women's track and field at the Olympics. It was some sport. I don't know which one. A sprint, a marathon. I don't know. I don't care. A white woman came out ahead of some black women. Unlikely, we all know about those fast twitch muscle fibers. We know what the Jamaican women are up to. They're like the Flash. Okay, fine. The white woman won. It was quote tweeted by a Nazi account on Twitter. It was one of the like pedophile. I think it was the one who he's the pedophile anime guy and he's Mexican and he pretends not to be Mexican because he's a Nazi. It's one of those types. That doesn't narrow it down much. And rather than celebrating the fact that the white woman won, the tweet was entirely about how the black women lost. And that right there, that's white supremacy for you. They don't give a fuck about white people. They don't care about celebrating white people. They don't care about celebrating white accomplishment, white culture, white history, white virtue. None of it. They just hate non-white people. And they're weird. They're very, very weird. Yeah, you're going to see a lot. You'll see a lot of racists shit-talking other races. You're not going to see a lot of racists who are just like celebrating the history of their own race or culture or whatever. Because they don't care. It's the politics of hate. They can't feel love. They don't feel love. They're anti-love. Of course they're freaks. J.D. Vance is like a internet Nazi. Of course he acts like that. Vaush is still internalizing American standards for white, which is wrong. Newsflash, dumbass, all standards for what is or isn't white are varying levels of wrong because it's an arbitrary social distinction. It's social categorization. American standard for what? Americans have a wonderful system for evaluating race because we only see race, we don't see ethnicity. That's literally it. If you're brown, you're Mexican. What the f is a non-Mexican Latin American country? We don't believe in it. Brown, Mexican. Black, black. Okay? Asian, Asian. Chinese, maybe? We don't know. We don't care. Over in Europe, they have a much more... Because in America, we only border two countries meaningfully. Over in Europe, it's like, oh, well, which type of Serb are you? Which micro-ethnic group in the Balkans are you from? And they'll determine how they react to you based on that. They're older cultures. They're more fragmented. They're smaller. I love the fact that over here in America, we're enough of a boiling pot that ethnicity is like a secondary consideration. Personally, I'm a racial abolitionist. I think that the fact that we pay attention to race as a meaningful social category is bullshit. Obviously, skin color exists. And if you look at like the genetic variation in humans, which is significant both between and inside of all racial groups, you'll see that, maybe I have like different shaped eyes, nose, the skin tone, I sunburn easily, whatever. But we don't separate races based on like distinct categorizations. We choose where to draw those lines, and the lines are pretty blurry. Why is Obama black when he's exactly half black, half white, genetically speaking? Why are there some, why can there be more genetic variation within, say, the white race than there is between a median member of the white and black race, to the extent that these things can be described and defined and separated in an arbitrary taxonomy? Why? Because it's stupid bullshit, We could separate races by anything. Do it by skin color now, sure. Do it by eye color tomorrow, Target nipples, knife nipples. Who cares? I just got on, but have you gone over Walls' positions yet? Not trying to be rude, but I genuinely don't know why people are excited other than he's better than JD. We've talked about his positions. I mean, I haven't done like a full policy segment for it because, to begin with, I think the vibes and energy are kind of what we're coasting on. He's a progressive. He's done a lot of good progressive stuff, but we're not really running on the ticket here. Kamala Harris will be the one who determines the ticket. And, even then that's kind of shaky because the DNC is sort of its own monster. It's hard to operate outside of that. It's not like Donald Trump was the one calling the shots policy-wise for the GOP. He was just blowing spit bubbles in the Oval Office. He was the one giving the speeches. The actual policy, it's a whole deep state of lobbyists and campaign coordinators and party whips that are making those decisions. What matters is that you can call Walls coach.